It's the most powerful show on television. High drama, with intense energy. A show dedicated to a few brave souls who risk their lives for the sake of their craft. Its in-depth reporting goes to the core and unlocks the mysteries behind today's raciest sport. Motorsports. Catch it when you can.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Post Tech. Today we move on to episode number 15, coming off a very interesting weekend of racing out at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, which saw the Truck Series take on the road course layout and the Cup Series drivers run the oval. Now, the ISM Connect 250 in the Camping World Truck Series from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course really brought the point gap a whole lot closer between Matt Crafton and Sheldon Creed. Crafton took home a 25th place finish, and Creed finished 5th. So that allowed Sheldon Creed to gain a whole 20 points on point leader Matt Crafton. The gap is down to just 6 points separating the two. We've still absolutely got a battle on our hands as we approach Daytona, which will be the regular season championship race. And right now it looks like it's going to come down between those two competitors for the regular season title. Also, we had late in the race Ben Rhodes take advantage of a mistake by Sam Mayer with about 20-some laps to go. Mayer got caught up in lap traffic. Ben Rhodes cut down to the inside, entering turn number 3. Got the power down, passed him on the exit of turn 4. Took the lead and led for the rest of the way, all the way to the checkered flag. Ben Rhodes taking home his second win of the 2021 season. Remember that he won earlier this season at Phoenix Raceway. And this is the second consecutive win for ThorSport, as Grant Enfinger won at Kansas, and now Ben Rhodes wins at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course. Let's talk a little bit about the difficulties of passing at Loudon for the road course layout. The section of the track from turns 7 to turns 9 offered the competitors the opportunity to more or less shut out their opponents from completing a full pass. We saw that on lap number 1 when Sam Mayer crowded out Sheldon Creed and held the lead from there for a full 45 laps because of how hard it was to pass. Those were both the first and second stages that he completely dominated after winning the pole spot. Well, right now, as we speak, SMI is remodeling that part of the racetrack, getting it ready for this weekend's ISM Connect 300 in the NASCAR Cup Series. They're essentially removing the right-hand turn 8 and making a straight shot down from 7 to 9, opening the door for passing on the inside of what was turn 9 and has been renumbered to turn 8. So the layout loses one turn but gains a very, very important passing zone, which may lead to more competitive racing among the entirety of the field. NASCAR also intends on continuing its recent trend of soft tire compounds by bringing a much softer road course tire to New Hampshire for the NASCAR Cup Series race, especially in comparison to those very hard tires ran in the Camping World Truck Series ISM Connect 250. And speaking of soft tires, how about the racing in the Foxwoods Resort Casino 301 on the Magic Mile in the Cup Series? A tremendous amount of tire strategy in that race led to a whole bunch of different leaders, 11 in total, which is pretty high for that racetrack in terms of its trends. And in the very end, it was both a strategic and controversial call by the number 18 team of Kyle Busch that led them to victory lane in their second win of the 2021 season. Busch caused the final caution by spinning out Drew Herring on lap 125. But accidentally spun himself out in the process when Kyle Busch was clipped coming back up the racetrack by the 9 car of Chase Elliott. So while it may seem questionable that caution pretty much led him to the victory, Busch had to put on tires because he had flat spotted them while spinning. There was really no way that he could have stayed out and been any bit competitive. So he came down pit road with several others as well, put on tires that gave him the advantage that he needed to take home the victory in the Foxwoods Resort Casino 301. And you have to respect the drive that he put on there in the final stage. Busch ran up from 29th position on the restart to the lead in less than 20 laps, taking home his 57th career NASCAR Cup Series victory. While it might have seemed questionable there right after we got the race done, he causes the caution that technically leads him to victory. Really, he was put in a box where there was no other decision to make. If he would have stayed out on flat-spotted tires, he probably just would have spun out by himself and caused yet another caution, because that car would have been almost completely undrivable with 4 tires having flat spots. So really, he was put in a situation where there was no choice but to put on tires. And like I said, you have to admire the drive from 29th to 1st in less than 25 laps to go in the race, taking home the victory. It was an incredible performance, but also some great showings for some underdogs who put on tires with Kyle Busch, such as Ryan Newman getting second position, Michael McDowell in third spot for Front Row Motorsports, and William Byron in fourth position. Just look at the car William Byron finished this race in. Almost destroyed the thing in stage one during the stage-ending caution, big one down the front straightaway. But they kept going and managed to stay on the lead lap, and that perfectly opened up the opportunity to put tires on with 25 laps to go, drive their way entirely through the field. Byron even picked up 4 spots in the standings with yet another top 5, and now sets 27th in regular season points. Even knowing they're absolutely in must-win territory, I'm sure that Mr. H is starting to get a little bit impressed with their performance as we approach the playoffs starting at Darlington. And believe it or not, Byron and his teammate Brad Keselowski in the 88 car, they have almost achieved exactly the same amount of accomplishments this season. They both have 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 40 laps led. However, Keselowski is 10th in the point standings, and Byron is 27th. A big difference between those two when it comes to points. The only difference is that Keselowski is a whole lot more consistent, and that alone has allowed him to perform a whole lot better than Byron so far this season. When by statistics alone they seem rather similar. To put it simply, going off how this season has gone, when Keselowski can't get a top 10 finish, he finishes in the top 20, or possibly even 11th. With how consistently he has ran this season. Not exactly up front, but he's consistently scoring those decent finishes and picking up points after every single race. When Byron can't get a top 10, he traditionally finishes in the 30s or DNFs, or a couple times this season he hasn't made a race. So that's really what has brought the difference in point standings between Byron and Keselowski, even though they're driving the same exact equipment, and if you looked at the surface level statistics, they appear to have had the exact same season. It's the races that don't exactly count towards a top 5 or top 10 or really any sort of big accomplishment that has separated the two, because Brad is very consistent in that 11 to 20 range, while Byron's had a hard time, honestly, getting up into those positions. It seems like he either finishes in 30th or he finishes in 4th. So they kind of need to get that consistency figured out, because as we could tell from the last few races, dominating at Kansas gets wrecked out. He scored top 5s multiple times this season, just got a 4th place finish at Loudon. But that 4th place finish at Loudon, his car was damaged. Imagine if that car wasn't damaged, if he wouldn't have got involved in that crash at the end of stage number 1. He could have had a shot at winning the race. But it's just that sort of bad luck that the 24 team gets into as well that kind of knocks them back. Because that race at Loudon could have been a race win for them had they not been involved in that accident. But they were running in the 30s or so when that accident started, and they just plowed into the mess because they had absolutely nowhere to go. So Brad Keselowski actually missed that crash and won a stage. So they kind of need to get that figured out, that consistency, staying out of trouble, and really they just have to make sure that they stay up front more often, because they can carve their way through the field with strategy and stuff like this to be there at the end, when it seems like starting at the back every week is really hurting their odds. They seem to be swept up in somebody else's mess more often than not. So they need more consistent performance, but at the same time they need some luck to play in their hand as well. Clinton Boyer has also started to perform like himself again. He got 3rd place at Kansas, 6th at Loudon, led laps at both, and he's raced his way up to 13th in regular season points and sets just 5 points out of the playoffs right now. As we speak, if Jan Magnussen loses just 1 point to Cole Custer and drops outside the top 30, Clinton Boyer will be moved up 1 spot in the point standings, which will bring him into the playoffs. So I'm sure that Clinton Boyer, if they can keep this consistency going, he won't need Jan Magnussen to drop back. But if he does get Magnussen to lose just 2 points to the 41 car of Cole Custer, that will automatically bring him up into the playoff grid anyways, because it'll drop the 33 car out, moving the rest of the line upwards. So that would definitely benefit Clinton Boyer in his quest for a second Cup Series title this season in his final full-time year. Let's talk a little bit about free agency. Eric Almirola currently sets 40th in regular season point standings. He currently sits behind Anthony Alfredo, who has missed 5 more races than Almirola. He's ran only 12 races this year, and Almirola's ran 17, and Alfredo sets above Almirola in the point standings. That's remarkable just to think about. But Almirola has already expressed that he will not be back in the number 10 car next season. But that opens up the door for a few drivers, most notably Ryan Sieg with his connections to Ford. He's also had some Cup Series experience. As you recall, 2 years ago, he had a NASCAR Cup Series program up and running. They won with Myatt Snyder in the Southern 500. And also Riley Herbst, Stuart Haas's development driver in NASCAR's Xfinity Series, is a rumored driver for the number 10 car, and that's because Riley brings some sponsorship from Monster Energy. So it might be more of a pay driver deal in many ways, and it might work out to keep the number 10 car open, because we've been hearing all the team turmoil between Stewart and Haas. If it goes split and it's just the 41 and 10 cars next year at Haas CNC Racing, with just Cole Custer, they need kind of someone to flip the bill in their second car. So I think that Riley Herbst would probably be the most logical choice for their organization, because he's already a part of Stuart Haas Racing in the Xfinity Series. Just bringing him up, even knowing the performance hasn't exactly been there in the Xfinity program, bringing him up would bring some sponsorship to their Cup Series organization. So my bet is probably on that, but Ryan Sieg would be a very interesting choice and possibly a fan favorite for the organization to put in there, because we definitely see all the fan support that Ryan Sieg gets for his independent organization in NASCAR's Xfinity Series. They do a lot with a little, and that would be a logically good choice to put into that race car. But maybe at the same time, Ryan's a bit too much of an independent to try and put into a sort of powerhouse-style organization. Maybe it just wouldn't fit out well, because he kind of likes to have control and say over how those race cars are put together. So maybe that wouldn't exactly be their number one choice, considering that Herbst is already within the organization and brings some sponsorship dollars along with him. It does make you wonder where Eric Almirola is going to end up next season, though, considering he is 39 positions in points lower than his teammate Kevin Harvick in the same exact equipment. It doesn't really make him one of the top drivers in free agency right now for any other organization to try and pick up. Also, Eric Jones is still 9th in regular season points for JTG Daugherty Racing and is absolutely at the top of the free agency. Given the fact that the JTG deal was only one season contract, it's rumored that he has been offered the number 24 car at Hendrick Motorsports for the 2022 season, which now that I think about it, it would fulfill a prophecy that Darrell Waltrip once foretold, because he kept saying that Eric Jones should try and take over from Earnhardt Jr. back in 2017. So that'd be kind of funny if what Waltrip always wanted to happen, Hendrick Motorsports finally did. But quite frankly, I think Eric Jones is satisfied with where he is right now. They've gotten up to 9th in points. They have race-winning pace right now. Going off the struggles that the number 47 car has gone through this year, JTG will likely just be a one-car organization for 2022. But if their driver's Eric Jones, their one car could become the next Furniture Row Racing number 78 car, to say the very least, because they're doing so much with a little bit right now. Being a Hendrick Motorsports satellite team, well, not even really a satellite team, they're just getting equipment off of them. The satellite team is more or less Chip Ganassi. JTG is just buying some equipment off of HMS and just working with what they have, and they're performing in many cases better than Hendrick Motorsports has this season. In fact, I think only one HMS car is outrunning them in the point standings right now. And considering that they are running 2 cars full-time right now, if they consolidate their resources next year into just 1 car, they could even be title contenders with Eric Jones in 2022. So I'd kind of love to see a situation like that go down. I think Eric Jones is comfortable with where he's at, and when you think about it, why leave the organization that got you up to 9th in points already? It sounds like just build on to next season. Next-gen cars coming in might level the playing field even farther, and they are definitely going to be strong in 2022, no doubt, if they keep Eric Jones in that race car. Where is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. possibly going to go? We really don't know. There's rumors that he might go to a full-time World of Outlaws program as a car owner as well, potentially just running sporadic starts in NASCAR's National Series, but it's potentially possible that he could be picked up by a larger organization. Say, if Stuart Haas Racing, that number 10 car, is open, they could possibly want Ricky Stenhouse Jr., but he doesn't exactly bring the sponsorship dollars that Riley Herbst or someone like that would. But I would say that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is still a tremendously talented race car driver. He's a fantastic choice, 2-time NASCAR Xfinity Series titleist, but it looks like right now he might be shut out of a better ride, at least at the Cup level, for 2022. International Speedway Corporation, owned by NASCAR, has put in some renovations into Watkins Glen International since we were last there in 2020, including removing and paving part of the Turn 1 outside curbing. Some added runoff in the chicane, and a total redesign of the Turn 5 runoff area. Now, instead of some asphalt runoff and then just tire barriers, we have a complete beach area, as we call it, in drag racing. Essentially, it's a long expanse of sand designed to slow down the car even at exceptionally high rates of speed. Also, the tire barriers have been moved back extremely far to give competitors a greater distance to slow down if they are caught in trouble. There's also still about 2 grooves of asphalt runoff that allow you to just barely get wide in Turn 5 and not get right up into the sand, so you can slow your car down and get back onto the racing line if you're not in some sort of extreme trouble. The beach itself is just there for more extreme circumstances, such as a throttle hanging or a brake failure or a wheel falling off or something like that. Because of the renovations to Turn 5, NASCAR is going to utilize a chicaneless layout of Watkins Glen International for the upcoming NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, the Zippo 150. If all goes well, NASCAR is considering utilizing this layout of Watkins Glen for the Go Bowling at the Glen just a few months from now. And one more note before we get on to the race highlights. Todd Bodine is set to make his NASCAR Camping World Truck Series return this weekend at Watkins Glen, which is his home racetrack, driving the number 68 for Clay Green Field. It's going to be a very fun return seeing the two-time titleist back in a Camping World truck. Jeff Hammond, the legendary crew chief, will be atop the pit box. And so now, after just a quick break, we'll be back right here on Post Tech to give the highlights of the Zippo 150 from Watkins Glen International. In the race analysis, the Zippo 150 from Watkins Glen International will take place over the course of 45 laps around the famous 7-turn road course, this time without the utilization of the chicane. Stage number 1 ends on lap 15, and stage 2 ends on lap 30, with the stages split up into perfect thirds. In the regular season point standings entering the race, Matt Crafton still holds the point lead by just 6 points above Sheldon Creed in the number 2 truck. Grant Enfinger currently resides third in the point standings, 31 points out of the lead. Ben Rhodes is fourth in points, 35 points out of the lead. Make note that out of the top 4 contenders in points, 3 of those 4 are out of the Thor Sport team. Then Christian Eckes sets 5th in points, 38 points out of the lead. Casey Mears 6th, 46 points out. Ty Gibbs 7th, 53 points out of the lead. Dawson Cram in 8th position, 69 points out of the lead. Ryan Truex in 9th, 80 points out of the point lead. And Ty Dillon rounds out your top 10, 83 points out of the point lead. In your playoff standings, Crafton, Rhodes, Eckes, Austin Hill, Creed, Enfinger, Mears, Ty Gibbs, Truex, and Friesen are all locked into the playoffs via their wins so far in the 2021 season. Dawson Cram still sets best of the rest, 33 points above the cutoff line, then Ty Dillon, 19 points above, Austin Theriault, 17, Parker Kligerman, 16, Timothy Peters, 12, and John Hunter Nemechek holding on by just 10 points in that 4 truck for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Then Brett Holmes sets 10 points out of making the playoffs, Zane Smith, 29 points out, Ty Majeski, 30 points out, and Brennan Poole, 32 points out of making the playoffs. Ryan Truex takes home a bit of a surprising pole at Watkins Glen. Outside him is the 40 truck of Will Rogers. Chris Wright qualified the 02 truck for Young's Motorsports in 3rd position. Outside him is Michael Self in the 25 truck for Rackley WAR. Qualifying in 7th position is the 53 truck of Cameron Haley. Couldn't get Jan Magnussen in the 53 truck for this race, as it is a non-companion with the Cup Series. Scott Lagasse Jr. qualified On Point Motorsports' 03 truck in 9th position. Alex Tagliani qualified the 51 for KBM in 14th position. Bailey Curry's in the 44 truck for Nice Motorsports this weekend and qualified in 16th spot. Second place runner in points coming into this race, Sheldon Creed qualified in 17th position. Matt Crafton qualified the 88 truck in 25th position, which is exactly where he finished last week out at Loudon. So if the race were to end how it starts, Sheldon Creed would actually take home the point lead. Brandon McReynolds was back in the number 3 truck for Anderson Germain Racing. Because this was a non-companion race, they couldn't get Kaz Gralla in the 3 truck. Jet Nolan, driving the number 45 for Nice Motorsports, qualified in 33rd position. The 5 truck of Dalton Sargent qualified in 34th spot. Back in 35th was the 61 truck of Max McLaughlin. 2-time Truck Series champion Todd Bodine qualified the 68 truck for Clay Greenfield in 37th position. Mike Skeen qualified the 8 truck for Nemco Motorsports down in 39th. Tate Fogelman is back in the Truck Series this weekend in the Zero truck for Young's Motorsports, qualifying all the way down in 41st position. And rounding out the field in 42nd position is Dawson Cram, once again just barely making the field. We had a very wild start of the race here at Watkins Glen with the 33 truck of Ryan Truex getting the jump on the start. The field diving down to the hard braking zone of turn number 1. The 25 truck of Michael Self ran wide up onto the flat. The runoff as we have a battle side by side as the field goes 4 wide up the S's. Up front we have the 40 battling side by side with the 33 with Ryan Truex clearing him on the exit of turn number 4 and the 02 truck of Chris Wright taking up second down the long back straightaway. Farther back in the field, we actually had the 30 and 44 trucks of Bailey Curry and Brennan Poole get up into the outside Armco in turn number 2. Coming down the long back straightaway without the use of the chicane for the first time since 1991, we get a 3-wide move on the entry to turn number 5 by the 53 truck of Cameron Haley. Started this race in 7th position, coming out of turn 5 on lap number 1, already up into 3rd, getting around Ty Gibbs and Will Rogers with a very aggressive pass in turn 5. We also had a massive gaggle of trucks try to run down into turn number 5. 4 wide goes Matt Crafton down on the inside. You can tell he's starting to get desperate for points because, as you can tell, he started to drop back a little bit. He's got to keep the pressure on the 2 truck, but the 5 truck slides wide. Also, the bumper gets put to the 26 from the 52 of Stuart Friesen. You see all these trucks sliding up. 26 truck has to use up some of the sand trap, but he gets the truck pointed, does not get up into the tire barriers, and that is the benefit of them extending that runoff area in turn number 5. It allows you to overdrive it and keep going. On the exit of turn number 7, the 53 truck finally gets into 3rd as the 46 of Smith tags the outside safer barrier off of turn 7. Down to turn number 1, we have a battle side by side for 3rd still as the 40 truck runs just a little bit wide. The bumper gets put to the 53 by the 03 of Scott Lagasse Jr., and that allows the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs to shoot it around on the outside and take up 3rd position as the battle out front still remains between Ryan Truex and the 02 truck of Chris Wright. On lap number 2, the 13 truck of Johnny Sauter gets up into the outside wall in turn 2 and just runs through the dirt through turn 3. Absolutely making all 4 tires on that 13 truck filthy, spending the next half of the lap just trying to clean them off. On lap number 3, Scott Lagasse Jr. gets the run to the inside of the 38 truck of Todd Gilliland, entering turn number 5, and takes up the 5th position with that move on the inside. On lap number 4, Dawson Cram makes contact with the 5 truck of Dalton Sargent coming out of turn number 4, turning him into the inside Armco and spinning around the 5 truck, bringing out our first caution of the day. In the race back to the flag, it was still the 33 truck of Ryan Truex leading above the 02 of Chris Wright. On lap number 5, the 12 truck of Christian Eckes, 23 of Brett Holmes, 97 of Jesse Little, and 13 of Johnny Sauter all come down pit road, but the rest of the field opts to stay out. On lap number 7, the 38 truck of Todd Gilliland runs wide down to turn number 1, gets some wheel hop while downshifting. And we also had a battle up the S's between the 02 truck of Chris Wright and 33 of Ryan Truex for the top spot. And these two running side by side brought the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs right up into the mix. 18 truck decides to side with the 02. There you see the 53 fanning out. And entering turn number 5, the 02 truck of Chris Wright is now the race leader here at Watkins Glen with the 53 truck pressuring the 18 and 33 down on the inside. Ty Gibbs now up into 2nd position. Ryan Truex dropping back on the exit of turn 5. Now just barely holding on to the 5th position. But cautions breed cautions. On the exit of turn 6, the 4 truck of John Hunter Nemechek tags the 61 of Max McLaughlin, turning him into the inside tire barrier, knocking him out of the race. Now, we'll say this, that was an awfully hard hit for the 61 truck of McLaughlin, ending their day early, but fortunately no injuries on the driver. Racing back to the line, the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs just barely edged out the 53 of Cameron Haley at the start-finish line for 2nd position. On lap number 8, every single truck comes down pit road. And we have a big shakeup off of pit road. The 40 truck of Will Rogers has taken the lead from 6th position coming down to 1st coming off above last week's winner, Ben Rhodes. Then the previous race leader of Chris Wright getting off in 3rd position, Ty Gibbs in 4th, and Cameron Haley in 5th. So we had a bit of a strange incident involving the 68 truck of Todd Bodine. He's ahead of a couple trucks that he's trying to let by, so he slows down up turn number 3. Haley Deegan, I guess, does not get the memo and slams into the 68 truck of Todd Bodine. Then the truck's trying to take evasive action. The 25 truck jumps to the inside, then the 12 truck tries to go to the outside of the 68 and also makes contact with Todd Bodine. So multiple trucks involved with damage from this incident while we were under caution. And obviously no penalties are going to come out of this because it was, quite frankly, incidental that this incident happened, but it still caused a severe amount of damage on really all 3 trucks involved. On the second lap under caution, the trucks involved pitted for their damage, with the exception of Todd Bodine, believe it or not. The 12 truck had the hood removed, and the 1 truck of Haley Deegan actually dropped out of the race from that accident. Radiator damage was terminal on the 1 truck of Deegan. On the restart, the number 99 truck of Ben Rhodes runs turn number 1 wide, allows Chris Wright to take up the second position, and Cameron Haley and Ty Gibbs to jump to the 99 truck's inside. Coming up turn 2, Ty Gibbs runs the 99 truck wide, and he actually gets up into the turn 2 Armco just a little bit, as Ty Gibbs takes up the 3rd position in the 18 truck for Kyle Busch Motorsports. At the end of lap number 11, we have yet another crash. The 51 truck of Alex Tagliani makes contact with the 68 of Todd Bodine, the damaged 68 truck, turning him on the exit of turn number 7. We also see contact was made between the 60 and 45 of Mears and Noland, actually sending Noland down pit road. The 38 truck getting turned around as well. The 45 truck collects the inside pit road wall. Then the 4 truck of John Hunter Nemechek has nowhere to go and slams into the 68 of Todd Bodine. A very strange accident, as the 52 truck of Stuart Friesen also plows into the mess, unfortunately suffering a huge amount of damage. The 13 truck of Johnny Sauter comes down pit road just to try and avoid the accident. So we actually had 2 separate crashes merge right there, because the 68 getting turned and the 38 getting turned was really a not connected incident, but it happened on the exit of the same turn almost simultaneously. And just take a look from our still camera, you can see more or less 2 separate accidents just form right there. The 68 truck gets a big beating right there from the 4 truck and 52 of Friesen and Nemechek plowing into him. We also had an incredibly close battle coming back to the start-finish line between Wright and Rogers for the top spot. Coming down to the start-finish line, it was the 40 of Will Rogers just barely edging out the 02 truck at the start-finish line. An incredible battle. Following that accident, coming out of turn number 7, the 68 truck of Todd Bodine, 4 of John Hunter Nemechek, and 52 of Stuart Friesen are all out of the race. Fortunately, no injuries among those drivers involved. But a very unfortunate story for Todd Bodine's return to Camping World Truck Series competition, being knocked out by the end of lap 11. We also had the 45 truck of Jet Nolan drop 1 lap down, getting some of that crash damage repaired, but he is still in the race. At the drop of the green flag, we had just 1 lap to go in stage number 1 at Watkins Glen. The 02 truck of Chris Wright jumps up to the outside and tries to outbrake the 40 truck into turn 1 as Cameron Haley goes wide on the exit of the first turn. Now we have a side-by-side battle for the top spot coming up the S's. 02 truck tries to run it just a little bit wide, so he has the advantage into turn 3. Now coming out of turn 4, 18 truck of Ty Gibbs might be a crucial pusher down the long back straightaway as the 40 truck clears them on the exit of turn 4. Here comes the 18 of Ty Gibbs down to the inside, trying to make a look on the 02 of Chris Wright. Down to turn number 5, the hardest braking zone on track, as the 02 truck has now cleared the 18 of Ty Gibbs for second position. Coming back to the start-finish line, the 40 truck of Will Rogers holds the lead and takes home the stage number 1 victory above the 02 truck of Chris Wright, the 18 of Ty Gibbs, 88 of Matt Crafton, and the 11 of Spencer Davis. So an impressive run to the end of stage number 1 for the driver in the number 40, Will Rogers. On the restart for stage number 2, once again the 02 truck of Chris Wright jumps up to the outside of race leader Will Rogers down into turn number 1. Outbreaks him just a little bit as the 75 truck of Parker Kligerman goes wide. The 88 truck of Matt Crafton down to the inside. The 18 of Ty Gibbs going for third position as we have a lead battle coming up the S's and onto the back straightaway once again. This time Matt Crafton is going to be a crucial pusher down the back straightaway. He jumps down to the inside and is going to push the 40 truck of Will Rogers down the back straightaway. Matt Crafton shoves the 40 truck out front. And Rogers clears the 0-2 of Chris Wright down into turn number 5. Here comes the 88 to the inside, going for the top spot. Matt Crafton trying to extend his point lead above Sheldon Creed. Now battling for the race lead here in the Zippo 150. Now side by side down the short chute from 5 to turn 6. Pretty heavy braking zone right here. 88 truck is going to have the preferred line down into turn 7. Gets down to the inside. Currently holds the lead just for a moment. The 40 truck gets the drive off. And Will Rogers is your race leader here at Watkins Glen. Matt Crafton has taken up the second position, 18 of Ty Gibbs in third, and the 0-2 truck of Chris Wright has dropped down to fourth position after overdriving the first turn and allowing Crafton to put the bumper to him. On the exit of turn number 5, the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs has gotten to the inside of Matt Crafton. Ty Gibbs now up into second position as the 88 truck almost gets turned around by the 0-2 of Chris Wright. A very dicey moment right there. Great job for Crafton to keep that truck going in the right direction. On the inside, the 0-2 truck of Chris Wright is now retaken the third position, getting around the 88 truck of Matt Crafton on the exit of turn 1 as the 8 truck of Mike Skeen goes around. Once again, Alex Tagliani involved in trouble, makes contact with the 8 truck of Skeen, puts the bumper to him a second time on the exit of turn 1, sending him around right up in front of the 21 truck of Zane Smith. Smith makes contact with him and blows the radiator on that 21 truck. Zane Smith now out of the race. It's also caught an oil line. You can see blue smoke coming out of that 21 truck as well. On the restart, the 0-2 truck of Chris Wright runs turn 1 just a little bit wide, but the 40 allows the 18 truck to get just a nose underneath him, and Ty Gibbs fills the gap. Gibbs takes away the race lead entering turn number 2 here at Watkins Glen. Now a side-by-side battle for second between Matt Crafton and the 40 truck of Will Rogers. Well, we are already under caution as the 42 truck of Carson Hocevar misses a shift and the 25 truck turns him up into the outside wall on the front straightaway, bringing out the caution flag right underneath the flag stand. But folks, racing back to the caution, we witnessed one of the worst crashes that Watkins Glen International has ever suffered. Coming out of turn number 5, the 03 truck of Scott Legassi Jr. just barely makes contact with the 40 truck of Will Rogers, turning him down into the inside Armco. And such a vicious hit actually turns the 40 truck onto its side, and it barrel rolls down the short chute, gets hit by the 98 truck of Grant Enfinger, spinning like a top into the dirt, digs into the dirt, rolls back onto the racetrack, and right here the 55 truck tries to avoid him and slams right in to the driver's side door of the 40 truck. Almost clears the fence, comes back onto all 4 wheels, still getting hit by oncoming traffic, and Will Rogers had to be helped out of this number 40 truck by the AMR safety team. He was standing when they got him out of the 40 truck. They got him into the ambulance, and they drove him to the infield care center, later took him to a local area hospital for scans. There was no internal trauma such as fractures or anything like that, but there was extreme soreness and some concussion-like symptoms out of the driver, the number 40. He will likely have to sit out at least 2 weeks of competition, which will be at least 3 races, because we have a midweek race coming up very soon. We are remarkably lucky that Will Rogers was able to get out of this truck standing and was not knocked unconscious, was not severely injured, but what a vicious hit between the 55 and 40 trucks. Ty Majeski tried to get out of the way of the 40, but accidentally turned back up into him and made driver's side contact with the 40 truck, turning him over once again. The speed difference between the 2 competitors was Majeski was going 122 miles an hour when he made contact to the 40 truck, which was only sliding forward at about 3 miles an hour. So that's more or less a 119 mile an hour impact from a dead stop for the 40 truck. And here's the onboard from the 55 truck of Ty Majeski. Sees the wreck right up in front of him, trying to find a way around it. Swerving down the short chute there, you see the 40 truck barrel rolling. And right here, the situation is fine, but he tries to turn around the 40 truck and hits him in the driver's side, turning that 40 truck over and almost knocking him outside of the racetrack and into the camping area. There might be some safety improvements that ISC may have to consider, because the way that that Armco barrier deformed when the 40 truck slammed into it was the real reason that it actually turned over. I don't believe that that 40 truck would have actually been in such a barrel rolling scenario had that been, say, a concrete or safer barrier wall. But this right here is almost unpreventable. That 55 truck tries to swerve out of the way and gets into the 40 truck's driver's side. We are incredibly lucky that Will Rogers was not severely injured in this. All the safety improvements made by NASCAR over the course of the last 20 years have been proving themselves lately in Camping World Truck Series events, namely Casey Mears' flip at Kansas and now this here at Watkins Glen. But it is likely that Will Rogers will have to miss at least 3 races. Let's just say that we had an awfully long cleanup and red flag period. That wall that Will Rogers slammed into, and then the secondary wall that he landed on top of, all had to be repaired because these Armco barriers deform rather easily. They're just steel barriers. They bend back with an impact. They're not quite like the safer barriers that you'll see in an oval. There was also a tremendous amount of debris. All the trucks that fully wrecked out in that accident include the 98 truck of Grant Enfinger, which slammed into the 40 itself of Will Rogers, and the 55 of Ty Majeski. The rest were able to continue. On lap 24, once we get the race restarted, all the trucks that were involved in that crash come down pit road to try and get some of that damage repaired, while obviously those who were not involved in the incident opt to stay out. On the restart, the 03 truck of Scott Lagasse Jr. gets to the inside, the 88 truck of Matt Crafton. Coming up turn number 2, the 03 truck takes up second position with a little bit of help coming from the 99 of Ben Rhodes. Rhodes searching for 2 consecutive victories after winning at the Loudon Road Course last week. Also, the number 2 truck of Sheldon Creed got in trouble up turn number 2, got up into the Armco barrier, which drops him back just a few spots. Might be a big hit in points as Matt Crafton still resides in 4th position. And coming off the violent tumble of Will Rogers down the short chute between turns 5 and 6, you really won't believe what happened on the restart on lap 26. The 42 truck of Carson Hocevar tags the 5 of Dalton Sargent, turning him up on top of the curb into the Armco barrier. Then the weight shift of that impact causes the left side of the 5 truck to get up off the ground. Then the 02 truck of Chris Wright hits him and turns that 5 truck upside down on the exit of turn number 4. And he also gets tagged by the 26 of Chase Purdy. No one injured in this accident, but still another very big one here at Watkins Glen. Here's the onboard of the 02 truck of Chris Wright. There you see the 42 truck put the bumper to the 5. Has nowhere to go, makes contact with the 5 truck. He goes over. And the 02 truck with heavy front end damage. This will knock Chris Wright out of the Zippo 150. Following that crash exiting turn number 4, Dalton Sargent, Chase Purdy, and Chris Wright are now all out of the race. On the restart, we just have a 2-lap dash to the finish of stage number 2. The 33 truck of Ryan Truex runs very wide on the exit of turn number 1, drops from 6th all the way to the outside of the top 10 as the 03 truck has cleared the 99 for second position. 88 and 99 trucks, teammates at Thor Sport, battle for third spot. Matt Crafton takes the position on the exit of turn number 4. On the last lap of stage number 2, the 03 truck tries to get to the inside. The 18 down to turn number 5. They go side by side for a moment, and the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs clears him on the exit of turn 5. Gibbs holds the lead. Coming out of turn number 7 and down to the start-finish line, Ty Gibbs is going to take the stage number 2 victory off the 03 truck of Scott Lagasse Jr. here at Watkins Glen. Gibbs wins stage number 2 above the 03 of Scott Lagasse Jr., then the 88 truck of Matt Crafton, 99 of Ben Rhodes, and the 11 of Spencer Davis, getting a great run in his own truck. On the restart, down to turn number 1, the 03 truck of Scott Lagasse Jr. tries to outbrake the 18 of Ty Gibbs on the entry to the first turn. Side by side up the S's, the 88 truck of Matt Crafton once again is the pusher in this scenario. First it goes up to the 03 truck of Lagasse, then cuts down to the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs. Matt Crafton helps the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs take away the race lead once again down the back straightaway here at Watkins Glen as they tandem down the back stretch. Down into turn number 5, the 18 truck still trying to clear the 03 as Lagasse tries to hang on to the 18 truck's door on the exit of turn 5, and Gibbs finally takes that lead away. Gibbs tries to close the door down to turn number 6, but the 03 truck has his nose there, forces the 18 truck just a little bit loose on the exit of turn 6, challenges him into turn number 7, and on the exit of turn 7, onto the front straightaway, the 03 truck of Scott Lagasse Jr. takes away the race lead as they wreck back to the start-finish line. Coming off turn number 7, the 60 truck of Mears runs wide, gets tagged by the 3 truck of McReynolds, down into the 25 of Michael Self, almost catches the sand barrels right there. The 2 truck of Creed finishes McReynolds' truck off. The 09 truck slams into the 3, then the 38 has absolutely nowhere to go, makes contact with both the 60 and 09. There you see Fogelman jumping up to the outside to try and miss the accident. 92 truck of Austin Terrio gets a piece of it as well. A very large accident on the front straightaway here at Watkins Glen. Following that accident, Todd Gilliland, Stephen Parsons, and Casey Mears are now all out of the race. Lap 36, once again we have a battle on the restart. The 18 truck of Ty Gibbs tries to pull the same move that Legacy pulled on the last restart, trying to outbrake him down into turn number 1. They battle side by side up the S's from turn 2 to turn 4. Ty Gibbs just barely inching ahead. No pushers coming from behind as the ThorSport trucks battle side by side for 3rd position. So they side draft themselves down the back straightaway. The 03 truck gets the advantage in the tight braking zone of turn number 5. 03 truck of Scott Legacy Jr. still holds the lead here at Watkins Glen above the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs. The 99 truck of Ben Rhodes has taken up the 3rd position off of the 88 of Matt Crafton. Now tries to get to the inside of the 18 truck, now forced up to the outside as the track changes direction. Side by side onto the front straightaway. The 99 and 18 trucks battle with Gibbs holding it at the stripe. Also, the 88 truck of Matt Crafton has dropped down to 6th position with the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed running in 10th. So once again, these two in close quarters battling for the point lead. The caution flag comes out once again on lap number 38 as the 8 truck of Mike Skeen comes down to turn number 1 and stalls. No fuel pressure on the 8 truck. Scott Legacy Jr. leads the field back to the start-finish line by about 2 car lengths above the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs. Then the 99 of Ben Rhodes still holding the top 3. The number 92 truck of Austin Terrio ran over some debris from the most recent accident and has to come down pit road with the pace car. A tremendous hit for the number 92 team of Terrio. Lap 41, the 18 truck once again jumps up to the outside of the 03 of Scott Legacy Jr. They battle side by side up the S's. This time, the 99 truck of Ben Rhodes is the decisive pusher, coming out of turn number 3 into 4 and onto the back straightaway. The 99 truck helps the 03 truck of Scott Legacy Jr. take the race lead once again. Legacy trying to hold on for his first career Camping World Truck Series victory, as Ben Rhodes is going to take up 2nd position in the 99 truck for ThorSport, trying to go 2 in a row here at the Glen. And guess what? The caution flag comes out again on lap 41. The 44 of Curry makes contact with the 23 of Brett Holmes, turning him down into the 0 of Tate Fogelman, sending Fogelman around. And the 12 truck of Christian Eckes also got turned around in the mess, setting us up for a 2-lap green-white checker. In just 1 lap, the 03 truck of Scott Legacy Jr. was actually capable of putting a 9/10 of a second gap on the 18 of Ty Gibbs. So that might be a great sign for Legacy coming into this 2-lap dash to the finish. On the restart, down into turn number 1, the 87 truck misses the first turn and allows a tremendous amount of trucks to pass him on the inside, as the 03 truck of Scott Legacy Jr. took a defensive line into turn number 1 and cleared the 18 truck. The 88 of Matt Crafton almost got up into the outside wall on the exit of turn 2. That allowed his teammate Johnny Sauter and the 31 of Ty Dillon to his inside, but Dillon got up into the wall. And now just 1 truck separate the 88 from the 2 of Sheldon Creed and Matt Crafton. That is the battle for the regular season championship, with Spencer Davis being the only truck in between them. And how about this run for Johnny Sauter? He's had a tremendous amount of struggles over the last year and a half in that 13 truck for ThorSport, and he now runs in 5th position on a road course, no less, a track that he has admitted that he is not the best at. The white flag flies here at Watkins Glen. The 03 truck of Scott Legacy Jr. holds just a 3/10 of a second gap above the 18 truck of Ty Gibbs. Legacy searching for his first NASCAR National Series victory, while Ty Gibbs is already a 2-time NASCAR Xfinity Series winner and Camping World Truck Series winner this season at Talladega. The 99 truck of Ben Rhodes has dropped off the tailgate of the 18. Looks like he will have to reside in 3rd position. How about this run for the 75 truck of Parker Kligerman, getting a great run out of that Henderson Motorsports 75, marching his way towards a playoff position. The 88 truck of Matt Crafton trying to get to the inside of his teammate Johnny Sauter. Sauter's going to be able to hold some momentum up on the outside lane and try to pinch down his teammate as Crafton gets loose on the exit of turn 5. You don't normally see Crafton race his teammates like this, but this is for an additional championship point. The 13 puts the bumper to him. Johnny Sauter moves his teammate on the entry to turn number 6 as here comes Scott Lagasse Jr. coming out of turn number 7 to win his first career Camping World Truck Series race. Scott Lagasse Jr. wins it as Sauter holds 5th position. It has taken Lagasse 16 years to get to this point since he made his first Camping World Truck Series start for Bobby Hamilton. It's taken oh so many years to find victory lane, and Lagasse has finally done it in a nearly dominating performance here at Watkins Glen for On Point Motorsports. And by the way, his teammate Brendan Poole got 9th, so that is a double top 10 for On Point Motorsports. What a Cinderella story for the 40-year-old Scott Lagasse Jr. And I'm sure Crafton, getting up alongside Sauter, isn't quite happy about how that racing went between those two teammates, but Johnny saw the opportunity at his first top 5 in about half a year, and he took it off the 88 truck of Crafton. It might have hurt Crafton's point situation above the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed, but you can't blame Sauter because you give him the opportunity to take a spot, and he's going to take it. Here's a replay of the contact between the 13 and 88. Johnny Sauter puts the bumper to his teammate Matt Crafton, coming down into turn number 6. A remarkable battle between these two veterans of our sport. Through turn 7, 88 truck tries to crowd him. 13 gets the launch on the exit of turn 7 and beats his teammate down to the start-finish line, with Johnny Sauter taking home the 5th place finish. And following the Zippo 150 here from Watkins Glen International, Matt Crafton's point lead above Sheldon Creed has only been extended out to 8 points. It was 6 coming into this race, and it's only 8 points leaving. That's why Crafton tried so desperately to pass his teammate Johnny Sauter, because that would have at least put the gap up to 9 points. Because Crafton is searching for every single point he can get, but I'd still say a good performance for him at a road course, especially because he is not exactly the greatest road course racer in our field. Ben Rhodes picks up 1 spot in points with his 3rd place finish here at Watkins Glen, up to 3rd in the regular season point standings, 32 points out of Crafton's lead. Ty Gibbs picks up 3 spots in the standings, up to 4th with a 2nd place finish to Lagasse, 49 points out of the point lead. Christian Eckes stays in 5th, 56 points out. Brent Enfinger loses 3 spots in the point standings, down to 6th. He is now 59 points out of the point lead after being involved in that tremendous crash with the 40 truck of Will Rogers. That's what cost him so many points here at Watkins Glen. Casey Mears, also being involved in an accident, has dropped him 1 spot in the standings, down to 7th, 68 points out of the point lead. Dawson Cram stays in 8th in the point standings, 77 points out of the lead. If he can keep that consistency going, he will be in the playoffs this season, which will be a tremendous underdog story for that organization. Parker Kligerman picked up 3 spots in points with a top 5 here at Watkins Glen, up to 9th in regular season points, 84 points out of the lead. And your pole sitter Ryan Truex, who actually ran off course a couple times at Watkins Glen, drops down 1 spot in points, down to 10th. He is now 87 points out of the point lead. Now in your playoff standings, Crafton, Rhodes, Eckes, Austin Hill, Creed, Ty Gibbs, Enfinger, Mears, Truex, and Friesen are still all the drivers who are locked into the playoffs via their wins, as we had kind of a freak winner almost here at Watkins Glen, a driver who is part-time and came into this race outside of even the top 40 in point standings. So that really didn't affect the playoff grid any, because he is still 40th in regular season points. Unless they try to run him full-time and get him up into the top 30, his win will not have a direct effect on the playoff grid. Dawson Cram is still the best of the rest, 45 points above the cutoff line. Parker Kligerman closed the gap up to 11th position in points. He is now 38 points above the cutoff. Ty Dillon, 34 points above. Hard to believe he has yet to win this season. He's had a lot of opportunities so far. It just seems like bad luck keeps getting him. Timothy Peters and Austin Theriault are both 22 points above. Last year's ARCA Menard Series titleist is now just 7 points above that cutoff line. John Hunter Nemechek is 7 points out in the 4 truck for KBM. That means that there is 2 Kyle Busch Motorsports trucks setting on the outside of the playoffs looking in. Brendan Poole is 12 points on the outside looking in, and Majeski and Zane Smith are both 36 points out of making the playoffs currently. And so now we move on to my personal favorite segment of the show, Q&A. Welcome back to Post Tech, and before we get on to the Q&A segment, gotta give you the disclaimer. If I mispronounce any names or handles, I do apologize, but it is bound to happen. Let's jump into question number 1 from Switchblade. Could Texas World Speedway get a points cup race in 2022 if the Circuit of the America deal falls through? It looks like that's probably most likely because NASCAR wants to continue the whole 2 races in Texas market. Granted that we have the non-points shootout at Texas World Speedway postseason. But NASCAR does want to keep those 2 points races, whether it be at Texas, Circuit of the Americas, or Texas Motor Speedway and Texas World Speedway. They do want to keep that date. So it looks like Texas World Speedway is the number 1 candidate to take up the points slot that Circuit of the Americas currently holds if the deal falls through. Because as we all know, SMI is trying to buy out that property and sort of convert it into more of a stock car, IndyCar style I guess the term would be Grade 2 racetrack as compared to the FIA Grade 1 track that is right now. The biggest rumor that I've been hearing is maybe taking the S's, if SMI does in fact buy out the racetrack, taking the S's and more or less putting sand traps down all aside them, getting rid of that classic Formula 1 1,000 miles of runoff situation and making it more like Sonoma Raceway or something like that, where if you go off of the asphalt and the curbing, you end up in the dirt. It looks like that's what SMI first announced or sort of leaked plan has been for Circuit of the Americas. But to answer your question, Texas World Speedway is a number 1 candidate to take over the current slot of Circuit of the Americas if the SMI deal falls through in 2022. Next question from NASCAR fan 88 Official. If KBM moves to Cup, what driver would they go with? I'll be honest with you, I think the driver that they'd go with would be Kyle Busch. As you can tell recently, the last couple months have been rather controversial for him. He lost his sponsorship with Mars, and it looks like that's probably not coming back. The current rumor is that they're going to go to another driver within Joe Gibbs Racing, but it's going to be Ty Gibbs to kind of get a development program going with him. But if Kyle would start a Cup Series organization, I think he would want to be the driver. Because it looks like, especially even after the controversy of his win at Loudon, it was yet another win, 57th career Cup Series victory for Kyle. It's, 54th career Cup Series win for Joe Gibbs Racing and him. But it was done in a very controversial fashion, which I don't think Joe Gibbs exactly wanted for his organization. Because there's still a lot of people pointing fingers at that 18 team. Even though I don't think they did anything wrong, it's still creating a bit of a stir that I don't think Joe exactly wants. So maybe to put it simply, I think Joe Gibbs is finally getting a little bit fed up with Kyle Busch, even knowing he's the defending champion. But we've seen this kind of situation happen before. Remember his brother, Kurt, wins a championship in 2004 for Jack Roush. 2005, does some rather stupid stuff off track, and gets fired before the season ends. Gets replaced by Kenny Wallace. So, in a way, we might be seeing a repeat of that with his younger brother, Kyle. Because he's the defending champion right now, 2-time titleist in NASCAR's Cup Series. But it looks like, at the moment, Joe Gibbs might be getting a little bit fed up with Kyle Busch. And it's possible that if, Toyota wants to keep him, which I'm sure they do, all the development stuff that he has going on in the Truck Series, all the support that he's given them over the years, I would say that Kyle might just start up his own Cup Series organization for next year. Because it would give him the stability that he needs without really anyone criticizing him for his actions, if you know what I mean, because he would be his own boss. So it might fit him a little bit better going to a independent program next season. So to be entirely honest with you, I think if KBM moves up to Cup, the driver that would be the best fit would be Kyle Busch himself. And really, it looks like it might not be out of the realm of possibility. We know that they'd be allowed to get that number 51, most likely, because it looks like right now Rick Ware Racing is going to drop to lower divisions and focus on their IndyCar program especially. But, Kyle Busch, even though he's still successful, it's a lot of controversy that he's been in recently. He's not the kind of clean winner, I guess you could say, that, say, a Brandon Jones is at Joe Gibbs Racing. He's won 2 races this season as well, dominated those races, took home the victory in rather just impressive style. There was nothing really to question about it. I'll say this, that Kyle Busch might, just for the fun of it, start his own Cup Series organization in the future, because the next-gen car opens up a tremendous opportunity for new organizations and teams to show up, and Kyle Busch would be the best fit for his own organization. Next question from RFJ, when does the Speed Station broadcasting deal expire? Let's just say that we're not exactly allowed to divulge that kind of information, but the proper term is multi-year. Let's just say that. Keep that in mind as we progress through the future. Then the next couple questions are also from RFJ. Will Eric Almirola return next season? And what will Haas do if Cole Custer continues running the way he is? So Eric Almirola pretty much has already expressed that he's going to leave the 10 car at the end of the year. The success is just not there. Granted, he traditionally squeezes out a couple wins late in the year. He got 2 in 2019 once the playoffs already began. And then he got 1 last season. Just Game 7 moment, I guess you could say. He won at August in Daytona, locking himself into the playoffs. It was quite a nail-biter moment, but I'm sure that Eric Almirola probably doesn't find any sort of satisfaction from the 40th place run in points right now after 19 races. He's 39 positions in points behind his teammate Kevin Harvick. Even knowing that, Cole Custer's only 31st in points, that's still 9 positions in points higher than his teammate Almirola. So it looks like Eric Almirola not only wants to leave the 10 car at the end of the year, but I think Gene Haas is going to let that happen too. So they're looking for a replacement right now. Eric is looking for where to go next in his career because, like I said earlier, being 40th in points doesn't exactly make you the top free agent in our sport, especially being in the same car that's leading the points. It's not making him exactly look good. Eric might drop down to, say, a part-time schedule if he wants to continue doing Cup stuff. But what will Haas do if Cole Custer continues running the way he is? They're probably going to keep him for the simple reason of family ties, I guess you could say. But Cole was a tremendous NASCAR Xfinity Series competitor. Right now, they're just going through a whole lot of struggles trying to get their Cup Series organization going in the right direction. I mean, they've had a year and a half to work on it, and right now Cole is just still not performing very well. He got a good run at Indianapolis, finishing in 5th position. But so far, that's really been the highlight of the last year and a half for that 41 car. So you really have to wonder if they're going to be making some decisions there. Maybe Cole Custer goes back to an Xfinity program, something like that, because right now the success just is not there. It does make you worry a little bit if Stewart and Haas really do split at the end of the year because the Stewart cars are running top 10 in points. At least top 10 in performance because Boyer's about 13th, I believe, right now. Almirola's 40th. Cole Custer's 31st. Even though Almirola won't be in that 10 car next season, that's concerning for whatever the potential Haas CNC racing will become because they are absolutely not performing very well with the 2 cars that Gene owns right now. So Haas may have to consider moving Custer around if they want to find some success. Even though in the family ties will keep him part of the organization, maybe drop Custer down to the 98 car, which would probably be renumbered 00. And next question also, could Dodge return as soon as 2023? That's a fair estimate of when they could return. Right now, that's NASCAR's plan for the next engine formula. That we plan on phasing out our current engines, potentially hybridizing and stuff like that with this whole next-gen car that brings in the opportunity for us to do that. But 2023 or 2024 is right where they could come in because there's a potential for NASCAR to delay the engine program by an additional year, get it started in 2024. So that's really the benchmark that all these manufacturers are looking at, whether it be Honda or Dodge or stuff like that. They don't want to get in right now and just have their engines immediately phased out. So that would be, I'd say, when Dodge would start to really look at getting in. If the engine program comes in 2024, well, they'd be making all the announcements in 2023 anyway. So that would be a good opportunity for Dodge to return and for more manufacturers to come in as well. And in certain cases come back, because I don't know if you know this, back in the 50s, stuff like Peugeot and Jaguar and Volkswagen used to run NASCAR races at the Cup level because the rule back then just used to be stock vehicle. There wasn't much rules about what it had to be. So maybe we could get more manufacturers to return if stuff like that does happen. It'd be an interesting story. Now, question number 5 from Switchblade, is JGR considering taking legal action against Mars if they don't return to Kyle Busch this season? So right now, it doesn't exactly look like they're going to be taking legal action because Mars wants to sponsor Ty Gibbs and everything that he's in. Whether it be an Xfinity car, a truck, or his ARCA car, they want Ty Gibbs because of his performance. Because he's Kyle Busch behind the wheel, but he has a fantastic personality when he climbs out of the car. That's not what Kyle Busch has really ever had. And that's really what sponsors struggle with. Such as Mars, you sponsor Kyle Busch to be a good brand ambassador. He takes home a lot of victories, wins championships. But then he goes and just does something stupid. Like the Ron Hornaday incident or the Ryan Unzicker run-in at Bristol, or says something bad outside of the car. Something like that. Ty Gibbs is not that kind of driver. He would not put your company in that sort of situation, at least going off of what we know of him so far. So I think that's what Mars wants to look forward to in their next driver. So they're going to stay within Joe Gibbs Racing, which is why I don't see any legal action happening. But Kyle Busch will not get the sponsorship deal. They may even potentially spread some of that money around to their other Cup Series drivers, such as Martin Truex Jr., someone like that, Denny Hamlin maybe. But Kyle Busch, I don't think, is going to be getting that deal. Because it looks like Joe, like I said, is getting a little bit fed up with Kyle Busch. Things aren't really exactly going to be coming easy to him in the future. Let's just say that if he wants to continue driving that 18 car. Might have to flip a lot of the bill himself with the Rowdy Energy deal. But I don't see any legal action happening against Mars because they're going to stay within the organization and they're sponsoring even Joe's grandson. But just the Kyle Busch side of things is what has fallen apart because they are not a fan of how he has been their brand ambassador over the last few months, especially because of how controversial, I guess you could say, his career has taken a turn in. Now, question 6 from NASCAR fan 88 official: could Marcus Ambrose return to full-time Cup Series racing? Quite frankly, I think Marcos is kind of done, if you know what I mean. I could see him maybe come back for like 1 or 2 races. But I never see a full-time Cup Series program coming back because he more or less decided to call his career complete a couple of years ago. He went back to Australia to try and get that Penske deal in the V8 supercars. That kind of fell apart as well. And I think Marcos is just satisfied with his post-career right now. But follow-up question, if he does, do you think he would be a contender at ovals? You know what? I think he would. Because Marcos was actually kind of a fair competitor at ovals, even back when he did drive in NASCAR's Cup Series. It was really the cars that he drove that weren't competitive. But if you recall, especially in qualifying, he was a fantastic oval qualifier. So he knew how to drive the racetracks, and he could run up front for quite a while, but it was the car itself that kind of started to fall away from him because he drove for early JTG Doherty, and he also drove for Petty, Richard Petty Motorsports. So he didn't exactly have the top tier of our sport when it came to equipment. I would have loved to see him maybe get like a Penske deal in Cup or something like that, because that would have been a lot of fun to see a driver with his type of passion get a deal like that. But I do think that Marcos would be a strong contender at ovals if he got the car that could do it, because he proved some exceptional driving talent, whether it be in a supercar or in a Cup car. He was a wheelman, so I think that he could definitely get it done on an oval. And now the final question: could NASCAR go back to its roots and host the All-Star race at a track like Stafford or Bowman Gray Stadium? That's been the biggest rumor as of recent, that NASCAR wants to turn the All-Star race into kind of a throwback race in many ways, maybe not in paint scheme, but go to a track that was maybe on our schedule a good 50 years ago, the pre-Winston era, and bring it back up and kind of give back to what started the sport, the grassroots style. And given the fact the All-Star race has about 25 or so cars, you wouldn't need a racetrack that could fit, 80-some in the garage, because you'd have cars showing up to run the race, cars showing up who could make it in through qualifying, stuff like that. This isn't a Daytona 500 style situation. This is an invitational, I guess you could say. So that opportunity to have a smaller field size on a racetrack that could fit it, like Southern National has been one of the more rumored racetracks recently, Greenville, Pickens, places like that have housed NASCAR many times before. They're parts of, the South where the sport comes from. NASCAR wants to get back to that core of the sport and really give back to the start. So it looks like next year the All-Star race could very well be at a track like a Stafford or a Bowman Gray Stadium. And I'd say it put on a great show in 2022 if that's really the direction NASCAR plans to go in, because it'd be a great blast from the past having more regional-style short tracks represented at the top level of NASCAR. I think it'd benefit really everyone involved. And so, folks, that more or less does it for today's edition of Post Tech. We hope that you all enjoyed it. The next time you'll be seeing us, we'll be back at New Hampshire for the ISM Connect 300, when the NASCAR Cup Series takes on the road course, the slightly renovated road course. As you recall, they're getting rid of Turn 8, making a straight shot from 7 to 9. Should be a fun one. That's going to open up one more passing zone on that very unique racetrack, where we turn out of the oval and onto the road course and back in. It's a very fun racetrack, and it's a different change of pace compared to what we traditionally do at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And so we'll be seeing you out at Loudon, New Hampshire for the ISM Connect 300 at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It ought to be a fun one.